Remember when Canadian malls had their own heartbeat? The jingle of consumers distributing's order bell, the crinkle of a red Zellers bag, that buttery popcorn smell hitting you the moment you walked into Jumbo Video on Friday night. These weren't just stores, they were Saturday morning destinations, back-to-school rituals, and the backdrop to countless family errands that somehow felt like adventures. Today we're exploring 10 lost Canadian stores only true Canadians remember. Maybe you flipped through a consumer's catalog with that stubby pencil lined up for Woodward's famous $1.49 Tuesday, or grabbed fries at the Skillet after browsing Zellers' toy aisles. These homegrown chains shaped how we shopped, where we gathered, and what made our neighborhoods feel distinctly Canadian. From coast-to-coast department store giants to your local record shop, each one tells a story of changing times. Which one hits your nostalgia button hardest? Eaton's, 1869 to 1999. Eaton's wasn't just a store, it was Canadian retail royalty. For 130 years, this department store empire stretched from coast to coast, starting as Timothy Eaton's humble dry goods shop in Toronto. The Eaton's catalog became Canada's wish book, reaching remote farms and northern towns where the nearest competitor was hundreds of miles away. What made Eaton special was the experience. Those brass elevators with uniformed operators, hushed carpeted floors that smelled like expensive perfume, and Christmas window displays that stopped downtown traffic. The Eaton Santa Claus Parade became a national tradition, broadcast into living rooms across Canada every November. But grandeur became Eaton's downfall. Costly expansion into suburban malls, failed attempts to modernize, and nimble competitors offering better prices slowly chipped away at their empire. The final nail came in the late 90s when changing shopping habits and a botched repositioning left them unable to compete. If you shopped at Eaton's, you remember that signature script logo on crisp white boxes, the weight of quality merchandise, and feeling slightly more sophisticated just walking through those polished doors. From marble floors to fresh fish counters out west. Woodward's, 1891 to 1993, Woodward's owned Western Canada like no other chain could. From their flagship Vancouver store to smaller locations across BC and Alberta, Woodward's understood their region's spirit, practical, unpretentious, and always ready for a good deal. The legendary $1.49 day sales turned Tuesdays into citywide events. That jingle, $1.49 day Tuesday, burrowed into your brain and stayed there all week. Families planned their schedules around these sales, rushing to grab everything from socks to school supplies at rock-bottom prices. Woodward's also pioneered the department store food court concept with full-service restaurants and fresh food counters that made them community gathering spots. Their downtown locations anchored entire business districts, employing thousands and defining the rhythm of city life. The early 1990s recession hit hard, and Woodward's regional focus became a weakness when Western Canada's economy stumbled. Heavy debt loads and aggressive competition from national chains delivered the final blow in 1993. You remember lining up early Tuesday mornings, the excitement of hunting through sale bins, and that satisfying feeling of scoring deals that felt almost too good to be true. If Woodward's was Tuesday, this next one was everyday savings. Consumers Distributing, 1957 to 1996. Before Amazon, before Click and Collect, there was Consumers Distributing, Canada's original catalog showroom experience. You'd flip through thick catalogs at home, circle what you wanted, then head to the store with your handwritten order slip and that stubby HB pencil. The process was beautifully simple and frustratingly slow. Fill out your slip with product codes, hand it to the clerk, then wait as someone in the back warehouse hunted down your items. That little bell would ding, the conveyor door would slide open, and your purchases would appear like magic. Consumers distributing dominated the small appliance, electronics, and toy markets. Christmas shopping meant careful catalog study, comparing models and prices in black and white photos that never quite showed the real colors. But the model that made them successful eventually killed them. Chronic stockouts frustrated customers, slow service felt antiquated next to big box self-serve options, and maintaining both catalogs and warehouse space became unsustainable. By 1996, the last locations had closed. The ritual of filling out those yellow slips, the anticipation of waiting for the bell, and the mystery of what might actually be in stock, pure pre-digital shopping nostalgia. From catalog counters to bargain bins. Biway, 1965 to 2001, Biway was Canada's answer to, "We don't need fancy, we need affordable." This no-frills discount chain stripped retail down to its essence: basic merchandise, basic fixtures, and basic prices that stretched your payday dollar further. Walking into Biway felt like entering a warehouse that happened to sell clothes. Wire baskets instead of carts, cut case displays instead of pretty shelving, and that distinctive fluorescent hum that said, "We're spending money on low prices, not ambiance." The big block BIWAY letters outside promised exactly what you'd find inside: honest value. Biway served working families who needed school clothes, work socks, and household basics without the markup. They were the payday stretch store, the place you shopped when budgets were tight but kids still needed winter coats. The late 90s brought intense competition from American big box retailers and dollar store chains that could beat Biway's prices while offering better selection. Unable to adapt quickly enough, Biway filed for bankruptcy in 2001. If you shopped Biway, you remember the no-nonsense atmosphere, the satisfaction of finding exactly what you needed at prices that didn't hurt, and feeling smart about stretching your dollar. And then came the red tag giant. Zellers, 1931 to 2013. Zellers was Canada's friendly neighborhood department store, the place where ordinary families felt at home. Under the Hudson's Bay Company umbrella, Zellers positioned itself as the accessible alternative to fancier department stores with that familiar red Z logo welcoming families for decades. What set Zellers apart was the total experience. Beyond clothes and household goods, most locations housed the Skillet restaurant, where tired shoppers could grab surprisingly decent fries and a coffee. It became the unofficial Canadian family ritual, shopping followed by a Skillet break. Zellers mastered the art of being everywhere without being overwhelming. They anchored smaller malls and plaza locations, making them the go-to for back-to-school shopping, last-minute gifts, and those random household items you suddenly needed. The end came swiftly in 2011 when parent company HBC sold most Zellers leases to Target's failed Canadian expansion. By 2013, most locations had closed, though small shop-in-shop revivals have appeared inside some Bay stores. Those red plastic carts, the reliable selection of everything you actually needed, hot fries at the Skillet, after successfully finding winter boots that fit, pure Canadian retail comfort. When music still lived on shelves. Sam the Record Man, 1961 to 2007. Sam the Record Man wasn't just Canada's biggest record chain, it was the temple where music lovers worshipped. That iconic neon sign with spinning records became Toronto's Yonge Street landmark, visible blocks away and promising musical discovery inside. Sam Snyderman built more than stores, he created music culture. Staff picked albums based on actual knowledge, not algorithms. New Release Tuesdays brought lineups around the block. Boxing Day sales became legendary, with devoted fans camping out for deals on everything from Beatles imports to Canadian indie releases. The flagship Yonge Street location was Music Mecca, 3 floors of vinyl, cassettes, and later CDs, organized by genre but encouraging exploration. You'd go in for one album and emerge hours later with arms full of discoveries, guided by handwritten staff recommendations and those distinctive orange price stickers. Digital downloading killed the physical music business overnight. Even Sam's massive scale couldn't compete with instant, invisible music delivery. The final stores closed in 2007, though the neon sign was preserved as a heritage artifact. Running your fingers through plastic-wrapped CDs, discovering new artists through listening stations, and that Christmas morning feeling of unwrapping a perfect album, Sam's made music shopping an event. If Sam's was the city kid, this next one was pure suburban weekend. Jumbo Video, late. 1980s to 2000s Jumbo Video understood that renting movies wasn't just about the films. It was about the entire Friday night ritual. Walk through those doors and immediately hit that wall of buttery popcorn aroma, free for customers and guaranteed to put you in movie mood. These weren't the biggest video chains, but they were distinctly Canadian, focusing on smaller cities and suburban locations where they became weekend destinations for families. The selection leaned toward crowd pleasers and new releases, with staff who actually watched movies and could recommend something perfect for your Saturday night. The browsing experience was pure tactile pleasure, rows of clamshell VHS cases to flip through, later joined by DVD spine art. Kids would work through the kids section while parents debated between action and comedy, everyone eventually meeting at the checkout with tonight's entertainment. The Be Kind Rewind era ended when Netflix mail service and early streaming made physical rental obsolete virtually overnight. Most jumbo locations closed in the early 2000s, unable to compete with convenience delivered to your mailbox. That butter salt smell hitting you at the door, the satisfying snap of VHS cases closing, and the shared anticipation of family movie night, Jumbo turned movie rental into a neighborhood tradition. Some chains disappeared by rebranding rather than closing. Towers Department Stores, 1960s to 1990. Towers occupied that sweet spot between discount and department store, offering affordable fashion and housewares in Ontario and Quebec shopping centers. They were the reliable middle option, nicer than pure discount chains, but more accessible than upscale department stores. The Towers aesthetic was pure 1970s mall anchor. Gold and brown signage, wide aisles with that distinctive escalator whoosh echoing through multiple floors, and housewares sections that felt like browsing through a middle-class Wish catalog. They understood suburban families wanted style without breaking the budget. Towers served the growing suburban market perfectly, anchoring plaza shopping centers and early enclosed malls. Their housewares floor became a weekend destination for newlyweds and young families furnishing their first homes, while the clothing sections offered work-appropriate fashion at department store quality with discount store prices. Rather than failing, Towers simply vanished through acquisition. Zellers bought the chain in 1990 and converted most locations overnight, flipping those familiar signs to red Zed logos almost before customers noticed the transition. If you shopped Towers, you remember that gold-brown color scheme, the satisfying feeling of finding exactly what you needed at fair prices, and the strange disorientation of walking into your store to find it had become something else entirely. Back to music. This one battled chart wars, then met the CD crash. A&A Records, 1940s to 1990s. A&A Records was where serious music lovers went to dig deeper. While Sam the Record Man dominated the mainstream market, A&A served the alternative crowds, indie music scene, and anyone seeking something beyond radio hits. These stores felt like clubhouses for music obsessives. Staff weren't just employees. They were curators who hand-wrote recommendation notes under albums, created "If you like this, try that" displays, and hosted in-store acoustic sets by local musicians. Chartboards tracked both billboard and underground scenes. A&A locations became cultural hubs where teenagers discovered punk, university students explored jazz, and weekend musicians found obscure imports. The clientele was passionate, the selection was deep, and browsing could consume entire afternoons of musical education. The same forces that killed Sam's hit, A&A, even harder. Smaller scale meant less bargaining power with distributors, and their alternative focus made them vulnerable when CD sales crashed. Most locations closed during the 1990s music industry upheaval. Those handwritten staff notes that felt like personal letters, the thrill of finding import singles nowhere else carried, and the security clips on cassettes that somehow made music feel more precious. A&A made record shopping feel like joining a community. We end with a Toronto legend that felt like a carnival. Honest Ed's, 1948 to 2016, Honest Ed's wasn't just a store, it was performance art disguised as discount retail. Ed Mervish created Toronto's most beloved eyesore, a flashing, hand-painted monument to bargain hunting and shameless self-promotion that somehow became the city's most cherished landmark. Every surface screamed for attention. Honest Ed's a nut. Don't just stand there, buy something. We're overstocked and undersold. The hand-painted signs and flashing light bulb facade turned shopping into street theater, while inside, maze-like aisles crammed with everything from socks to sofas challenged customers to find what they actually needed. The annual turkey giveaway became Toronto tradition, with thousands lining up for free Thanksgiving birds. For new immigrants and cash-strapped students, Honest Ed's provided dignity with their discounts. You weren't shopping cheap, you were shopping smart. Rising downtown land values finally claimed Ed's Corner in 2016. The site's redevelopment marked the end of an era when Toronto retail could be weird, wonderful, and completely unapologetic about both. Those groan-worthy puns you secretly loved, getting lost in aisles that seemed to rearrange themselves, and feeling like you'd discovered Toronto's best-kept secret despite everyone knowing exactly where it was. So what do these lost names tell us about how Canadians shop? And remember, which store was your spot? Eaton's Windows, Zellers Fries, or Jumbo's Popcorn? And which brand do you think could make a comeback today? If you want more forgotten Canadian brands and cozy nostalgia, hit subscribe. We've got deep dives coming on extinct snacks and vanished malls. Same time next week, eh?